Less than 10 years ago, I weighed 370 pounds. It is 3 days before Christmas, and I am in a t-shirt outside walking around to go visit my animals to get some peace. I am in northern Missouri. This is nuts. I want to tell a story today because 2020 has been a year. I mean, right? Can we all agree on that? And it's got me thinking about a lot of different things and reflecting on a lot of different things, like, why are we here? You know, the usual quarter midlife crisis freak out things. And honestly, there's been a lot of times this year where I felt like I wasn't going to make it through. There have been days where I have not wanted to get up. There have been days where the idea of the work that I needed to do felt so overwhelming that I just cried. Personally, I've been very blessed this year. I've not experienced hardships like loss of job or loss of loved ones or things like that that many people have experienced this year. And I think if I'm honest with myself, I've actually had a pretty good year. Just emotionally, I haven't been handling things well. This year, despite everything else going on in the world, was coming anyway. But seriously, how can I have a hard day with the sunset like that? My dad and my stepmom visited a couple of weeks ago, and they came up to bring the grandkids over just to kind of see the farm, and kind of hung out, walked around the property, and I introduced them to the goats and the ducks and the chickens, and oh my gosh, my heart, I had so much fun talking about all the things that we had learned this year. And when it was time for them to leave, one of the kids needed to go inside to use the restroom. And so I took him inside and pointed him to the bathroom, and we walked down the hall. And in our hallway, there is these hooks, and on the hooks are all the medals from all the races that I've done. I've done several half marathons, several triathlons, dozens of 5Ks and 10Ks at this point. And as we were walking by it, the little boy, he said, "Oh, whose are those?" And I said, "Oh, those are mine." And he goes, "Wow, I wouldn't have thought that." And fair. And I had a little moment of kind of sadness because I'm like, okay, at the weight that I am and the size that I am and the way that I carry myself, I guess it's fair that I still don't come across as an athlete, which is something that I've always had in my heart that I wanted to be. Ow! Ouch! And honestly, in that split moment, it hit me hard. Because this year, I've kind of prioritized everything that had nothing to do with the things that we wanted to accomplish out here and, the dreams we had kind of set out for ourselves and our 5-year plan. And I got very down thinking about the physical state that I'm in and all the things that I haven't done. And then I thought about it, and I told Eric later that night what he had said, and Eric just laughed. Bold move, my friend. But the reason Eric laughed is because Eric has, always believed that I could do hard things that challenge me. And Eric has always believed that I could do anything that I wanted to and that I set my mind to. And it reminded me of how caught up we can get in ourselves and in our own feelings. And I think that it's okay to sometimes lean into those feelings, but at some point, you got to stand up and keep moving. And I don't really want to miss another minute of moving forward, thinking about the things that I should have done in 2020, or focusing on any failures that I feel like I've had this year. Oh my goodness, hi Rosemary. Oh my goodness. Wow. Good job, kitties. Good job, Rosemary. Because less than 10 years ago, I weighed 370 pounds. I'd lose feeling in my hands and arms when I slept. And on the days when work required me to be on my feet or, standing for any extended amount of time, the pain was so excruciating at night that I'd just sob into my pillow. And I never told anyone that because I was mortified by it. I was embarrassed by kind of my existence. And I was embarrassed by all the things that I didn't do. And one day, I woke up. It was January 5th. It was not January 1st. I didn't have an epiphany, about New Year's resolutions. I woke up and I said that I wanted to live and that there were things that I was supposed to do on this earth that I was not doing. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to live. I had no plan. I had no end goal. I just knew that I was going to live and I was going to do whatever hard things that I had to do to live. And over the next 18 months, I lost half my body weight. And this is a story for a different time, because if I had to do it over again, there are things I would have done differently. There's so much I've learned now that I didn't know then, and so much that I'm continuing to learn by being out here, by growing our own food, by raising animals that honestly I think would have been invaluable to me as I grew up. Hey guys! Hello! Oh, I missed you guys today. Oh, you made a mess, I see. Hi, Mary. Hi, sweet girl. Hi, sweet girl. In my life, I've trained for and ran a half marathon at 250 pounds. I've completed a sprint triathlon at 300 pounds. I've crawled out of the pits of despair. Just like ultimate despair. I never thought about dying, but I never thought about living much before then either. And I did really hard things. I pushed myself to do things that I never dreamed or imagined I could have done. I worked through grief over the loss of my mother. I prayed a lot, and I did those things with a sort of energy that I never knew I had. Really. And then my career took off, and I experienced more loss, and I returned to my old habits of turning to food as comfort instead of fuel and to feed my soul. And I gained a bunch of weight back. And for the past year, I've been thinking about how sad I've been and how much regret that I have. And I've continued in just really unhealthy cycles. So when that little boy looked at those medals and he said, I wasn't expecting that, I felt sad in that instant. Heck yeah, I did those things. You should have seen me limp across that finish line when my leg went numb in the last stretch. I did those things because those things were hard for me. And I feel like everyone right now has hard things that they are going through. And there are moments when you feel like things aren't going to be better, whether it's things that have happened in 2020 or things that have happened before then that you've carried. I feel like it's worth saying and taking a moment during this holiday season to remind myself and, anyone else who cares to listen that you can do hard things. I am very grateful that we live out here because on those days where I don't feel like getting up, where I don't feel like pushing myself, I have to get up. There are animals that need me. Right? Right, Mare? And I just had this like renewed energy. You know, I've been really excited about taking the next steps on our homestead and about really diving into growing our own food and learning about food and, you know, the different types of foods and the different flavor combinations and, you know, experiencing food that I would never experience if I didn't grow it myself. And I'm excited about that. And that is inspiring me to think about, you know, the food and the fuel that I put into my body. And that is a hard thing for me. And it is one of the reasons that we wanted to live out here. We wanted to have that experience and we wanted to be able to live active lives. I'm grateful for those things, and I am choosing right now to look for the inspiration in those things and in the beauty that God has just provided me out here. And the camera doesn't do it justice, but I'm excited. I have this renewed energy. And I hope if people are out there who are also experiencing a difficult season, I hope that you remember there's hope. And that this moment is temporary. I know it's been a hard year. And I pray that you wake up tomorrow and are reminded that even if you don't believe it yourself, and maybe there's not someone standing right next to you, that you can do hard things. And that you were wonderfully made. Knick-knack. Knick-knack. What are you doing? It is starting to cool down with the sun setting, so should have considered a jacket. But I appreciate you walking around with me and letting me tell that story. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.